Hello students, in this video I will show you how to use the resources available to you on top of the questions in homework number 12, 13, and 14. So I am on homework set number 14 and this is the Excel sheet provided for you. So the first thing I'm going to do is to click on the Excel sheet and open it. The next thing I want to enable the editing, and then let me explain this sheet for you. This Excel sheet consists of two tabs at the bottom, two sheets at the bottom. The first sheet is mean hypothesis testing and the other sheet is proportion hypothesis testing. So let's see how I'm going to use these to test hypotheses. The question says you wish to test the following claim, each one at a significance level alpha is equal to 0.10. The null hypothesis states that the mean is equal to 55.8. The alternative hypothesis states that the mean is not equal to 55.8. So first of all, this is a mean hypothesis testing because I have the mean here. You believe that the population is normally distributed, but you don't know the standard deviation. You obtain a sample of size n is equal to 9 with a mean x bar is equal to 47.2 and a standard deviation 13.6. Now we want to compute the followings. We want a critical value and we want a test statistic, and we want to see if the test statistic is inside the critical region or it is not inside the critical region. And then we will see the decision whether we're going to reject the null hypothesis, accept the null hypothesis, fail to reject the null hypothesis. And then we were going to draw a final conclusion based on that. So let me go to the sheet again, and I know it is a two-tailed test because this is not equal to. So I'm going to go to the sheet that says mean hypothesis testing, make sure this says the mean, and then this is a two-tailed test. It's already a two-tailed test, but let me show you how to change that. You go to the drop-down menu and you're going to pick the appropriate test from here. So if it's a two-tailed test, you're going to choose this one. If it's a right-tailed test, you choose greater than. If it's left-tailed test, you're going to choose less than. And then this number here is the null mean. So in the question here, the null mean is 55.8, and you need to change it just once right here, and everything else is going to change automatically. And next, we want to find the sample mean. The sample mean from the question is equal to 47.2. So this is 47.2 right there. And then we want the sample standard deviation. The sample standard deviation from the question is 13.6. So I'm going to say this is 13.6, and I want also the sample size. The sample size in this case is 9. N is equal to 9. So N is equal to 9. And then we want the significance level. The significance level is given here. Alpha is equal to 0.10. So I'm going to change that to 0.10. And then click Enter. You see here, those numbers are going to change. What I care about is the test statistic. The test statistic is right here, and then T critical is right here. And then it's going to give me a decision. Now this is the p-value, and this is the decision based on the p-value. So let me paste in these values here and see if they're going to work. Notice here I have a plus and minus. That means I'm going to remove the sign from my critical value. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to remove the sign from it, or I can copy the positive one instead. So let me just paste it there, and I'm going to remove the sign because I already have the sign in the question. The test statistic is also calculated here. So I'm going to copy it and paste it. This is the test statistic, copy, and go ahead and paste it. Here I'm going to report my answer to 3 decimals. So let me actually try it without rounding, and then if it's not taking it, then I will round it. And it took it as it is, so I don't care about the rounding. Now, is the test statistic in the critical region or not in the critical region? Now I'm going to compare that to I'm going to compare the test statistic to the critical value. Because this is a two-tailed test, I will have an area to the right, an area to the left. And I noticed that the critical value is actually bigger than, or the test statistic is smaller than the critical value. That means it is inside the critical region. And because of that, we're going to reject the null hypothesis. So it is in the critical region, and we're going to reject the null hypothesis. We never accept the null hypothesis. We either reject the null hypothesis or fail to reject the null hypothesis. We never accept the null hypothesis. So let me try these two. And then the last one is to draw a conclusion. Because we rejected the null hypothesis, let's read those options. There is sufficient evidence to warrant rejection of the claim that the population mean is not equal to 55.8. This is as if you're saying there is sufficient evidence to reject the alternative hypothesis, which is not right. We're not rejecting the alternative hypothesis. There is not sufficient evidence to warrant rejection of the claim that the population mean is not equal to. That is not the case either. That means we're not rejecting the alternative hypothesis, and we're not talking about the alternative hypothesis. The sample data supports the claim that the population mean is not equal to 55.8. So that is equivalent to saying reject the null hypothesis. Let's read the last option. There is not sufficient sample evidence to support the claim that the population mean is not equal to 55.8. That is not the case. We rejected the null hypothesis. That means we have enough evidence to support the claim that the mean is not equal to 55.8, which is our alternative hypothesis. So I hope this video helped you understand how to use the Excel sheet provided for you, and I will see you in a different one.